is Can TV Live with your hostess with the mostest, Sister Yas Simpson. I am your favorite community epidemiologist, and I'm with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Service. Welcome. We do this once a month with CAN TV as a non-for-profit organization in order to keep our health messages moving forward. At this particular time slot, I'm here to really talk to you about health ailments and indicators. And as we go forward, not just talking about treatments or interventions, but I am definitely want to talk about preventions. And you are with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, where we bring science to the people, honey. And I would like for you, if you could, this is a call-in live, although it is recorded, and I thank CAN TV for that. They record this, and they do place it on YouTube for later viewing. But you also can call in live at 312-738-1060. So happy Black History Month, honey. It is February, of course, today is the 19th, but it is February 19th, 2020, and it is Black History Month, where we get to be black for 28 days, but you know I'm black 365. So it is an observation. That's what we're talking about. And we think about how we observe Black History Month. I just want you all to know, Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, we can be found on Facebook. And as you can see, a direct line 312-961-6189. But as I think about Black History Month, I think about what it is that we offer, what it is that we're bringing to the table, and more importantly, people talk about celebrations, but what it is that we're celebrating. And there is definitely a purpose behind that. I also want to give a shout out to those people that helped me to be with Tacts, and that is, you can see Third Coast Seafire, which is going to be having a celebration pretty soon. We got TRS, which is Transforming Reentry. Is new. I have to get used to this new name, but it's TRS, which is still part of Men and Women's Prison Ministry, but it is Transformation of Reentry Services. AIDS Foundation of Chicago, National Black Agenda Consortium, which I'll talk about a little bit in a few, and our own Vice President's company, Flow Photography and Enterprises. So that's some of the people that helped me to do these types of activities today. So we always start our show off with, what is health equity? And you probably want to say you did that all last year, and you would be correct. The reason that we're talking about health equity and we're teaching about health equity is because I am asking for what it is that I want to see. Equitable health. I don't want to be equally sick. I want to be the best health possible for me and mine. And so that is actually referred to as health equity. Now let me show you this graphic. You can see equality is just having the same bike. As you can see, there's a short person, there's a tall person, there's a person the bike fits, and then there's a person that the bike doesn't. And then a person that's probably a little more challenged, who may need 3 wheels instead of 2. But equity means the person that needed the 3 wheels get what they need, 3 wheels. The tall person gets a bike that's for them, that's taller. The short person gets a bike that's smaller, that's for them. And of course, you always want to have the one that's right for you. So that is what health equity is all about. And that is what we really promote here with this particular program, is health equity. And one of the things that I love just thinking about is when we see health equity as a whole, it's the case for, we're saying literacy at this point, but it's moving from equality to liberation. So we're not just doing equity or equality, we're moving to what? Liberation. And that is something that I would say, health freedom. Now, one day we're going to talk about a little bit of what is health literacy and why actually I want to change that construct to talking about health comprehension. But that'll be another show. For this show, we're going to be dealing with what? Black History Month. Now, I'm not going to get into, it started off as a week. It wasn't always called Black either, but I won't say what it was. But we will talk about our beloved Carter G. Woodson, who obviously made sure that we were being accounted for, honey. He said we should be recognized for all the achievements that we have given to not just blacks, not just whites, but we have given to the world. So because of him and others like him, and then they included President's Day, but I'm going to put Frederick Douglass up there before I put any other person up there. They expanded it all the way out from 1 week to expanding it to a month. In fact, I believe one of our historical black colleges was responsible for making this a celebration of month long. Now, it just happened to be it's the shortest month, but guess what, y'all? We in leap year, so we get an extra day. So being Black 365 is acknowledging our celebration in February, and we'll have some other dates like Juneteenth coming up. We're going to acknowledge it again. Why should we acknowledge it? Because for so many years, more than you all stuck on the 400, and I keep saying 500, but I think Dr. Henry Clark would probably agree that it's further than that. It's centuries. But he said our enslavement did not start here in America. It actually started in the continent of Africa. And by the time we go through that transatlantic slave trade, that means we were dropped off in many places, including places like Haiti and Cape Verde and other places. The Spaniards were in on it. The Portuguese was in on it. Of course, we know the English people were in on it. Dr. Henry Clark said we owe apology to no one because everyone has tried to enslave us. And I'm with that. I don't look for an apology from them, but what I look for is my liberation as an African. And in being an African in this country, we're Africans in America. And for some of you all that have to have that terminology, you're African American. And for others of us who look at the term of black, we are black people, that of here and the diaspora. My connotation is actually to be an African descendant, because I am more than just this country, honey. I am the world. And there is no place an African has ever been that we did not build. So I'm not limited to this country just because we built it, because I'm like, honey, if you give us a chance to build throughout the continents, we would have built every place we stay, because that's the kind of people we are. No matter where we at, we building. So I'm not limited to this place that does not want me to call it its home, but I am also more expansive than this place has ever could let me to be. I am not bound by this country, but I actually take a stake in it as well, because I'm an African and I'm free enough to do that. So that is why we talk about Black History Month. And I want to give you a insight to a website that I actually found, and I thought it was a great concept. In fact, it was a blog, and they actually talked about how people are champions in healthcare, because obviously that's what I'm down with. So this is Black History Makers in Public Health. There's 5 of them that are considered champions, as you can see. So the first one I'm going to go through quickly, as you can see, is Dr. Regina Benjamin. She was the former U.S. surgeon. On the side of her, you see Bobby Steele. That's right, the co-founder of the Black Panther parties. And I'll come back to why he should be honored. And then, of course, we see Billy Avery, who's the founder of the Black Women's Health and Imperative for Avery's Institute for Social Change, kind of long, but she's also being honored for what she's doing for Black women. On my far right, you see Dr. Camara Jones. Actually, I met her, and she was the former president of the American Public Health Association, as we refer to APHA, and I actually got a chance to have a dialogue with her about certain health ailments. And right in the middle is Malik Yofini. I'm getting his name wrong right now, but he is actually a very different type of advocate in public health, which I like, because his whole stance is food is social justice. If you don't have a food advocate that's getting food justice, you don't have social justice. And food justice does not come about without social justice. That is one of his key sayings, and I am actually in support of that. This man is taking on the construct or taking on the fight that if you're not feeding people correctly with the right nutrients, with the right portions, and more importantly, with the right types of food, then it's an injustice to their spirit. So here it is that we have these people that have been Virgin for, and these are, if you not noticed, these are all current. I'll show it to you again. They're current, people, because they are not just like history, but they're right in our stories right today. They're very current, her story, his story. And as you can see, it's not just what happened way back in the 1900s. All of these individuals are well within what is happening in 2000, in fact 2012 and above. So I wanted you to see them because these are the people that we have to make sure they are history makers in the making. And I wanted to focus, if you could look at your top right, you see Bobby Steele. Now there's a reason that I'm asking to focus on him, and that is because with Bobby Steele, you would not believe it was the Panther Party, honey, that wanted to bring ideals and more health to the people. When they saw that children, women, families, okay, wasn't getting their vaccines, they wasn't getting their screenings for health, and obviously we all know about the food basket program. They said, you know what, if you don't do it, we'll do it. And that's exactly what they did. In fact, the Black Panther Party is very much responsible for getting one of the most hard types of ailments that has been against black people for a long time up until recently. And guess what that health ailment is? You won't guess. Sickle cell anemia. Yes, the Black Panther Party was so involved in that idea of trying to, well, at that time, they wanted to find more of the treatment because the trait had always existed. And they were wanting the screenings. And because they weren't getting the screenings from their so-called public health providers, they started figuring out how to get the screenings to the community. Now, that's revolution, honey. That's how you do it. If you're not going to do it for me, I'm going to do it myself and I'll find a way. And yes, the Black Panther Party was one of the first organizations to make sure that those screenings, now people talk about the trait versus having the disease. And that's another unfortunate fallout that came from Nixon's administration, where they focused more on the disease and less on the trait itself, but because the trait was found more readily in blacks, and insurance companies that found out that people had sickle cell trait were actually denied services. Can you believe that? Yes, they were. They were not just denied, they wouldn't even get health insurance if they had a sickle cell trait. So it was the Black Panthers Party who decided that not only should we deal with the screening, but we should deal with what that means with as black people. And they pushed and they pushed and they pushed, and they got other doctors, which one of the other news medias that I can mention, truth be told, TNT, okay, Mr. Carl West, he actually had an article published out on his online media news, right? That's what that is. About what the Black Panthers contributed, more importantly, with one of the doctors who ended up working at the University of Chicago, first black physician and scientist to come to that University of Chicago to work on what? Sickle cell. So there's a deep history, and never know who is impacted, or most importantly, in this case, who was the author. I had to read about that, and I was so happily informed to see it was the Black Panthers who made that happen. It wasn't public health officials, although I'm sure they agreed with it. It wasn't just policymakers, because they were getting it all wrong. It was a community organization, of group of men and women who were saying to other black men and women, if they don't do it, we will. And that's the kind of ideology that I follow. I am not waiting on the person to oppress me, as they say. This system was not built for your freedom. You know, I'm trying to get it right, but I think it goes, if a system that is not built, that was built for your oppression, cannot free you. So the quote meaning that if this system was built to oppress you, how is it going to heal you? And so I'm probably hearing people going, well, what system are you referring to? Well, I'm letting them know the public health system was one of those things. And what I have done was, as being also a person who looks at what? Solutions. We're thinking about solutions. And in our solutions, Mr. Charles Patton, and this time I got his name right, he says health is not just one dimensional, right? Health is all things, it's many things, but it's definitely never one dimensional. So we look at solutions, as you can see, it says soul, baby. And what we talk about, got that soul. Come on, PE. Soul. So, okay, I went there for a second. I remember public enemy when I was young, boy, I was digging that. But the point that I'm making here is we have to deal with solutions. So I don't have as much time, but for the rest of the time, as we dealt with Black history. Well, first we started off with health equity, right? So we are clear about that. And we want to ask for what it is that we need. Better health for our own health, to be better, to improve within ourselves and within our people in our communities. But more importantly, we talked about what Black history makers are doing. And as we looked at those 5 champions, we talked about a little bit about what they contribute to public health. And then a little bit about what I feel solutions. Unfortunately, though, the reason I'm prompting for this is because now I have to deal with a topic that quite, we say frankly, but quite honestly, quite yali, right? I'm not ready to deal with, but I'm being forced to have to look at this hard reality. I want you all to recognize that Black women, young Black girls are becoming more and more targeted and taken and disappearing, and there is no accountability for why that is happening. So here we have Find Our Girls, as you can see, and we have the National Black Agenda Consortium, for which I belong, a call to action for here in Chicago. We want, as well as our partners that are in Philadelphia with Empress Chai, which she's a part of the Million Women's March. We want to bring a call to the village about our Black women and girls that are missing. So who's looking for them? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're going to start talking about why this is happening. I'm a little somber about it because, first of all, the first thing I found out, the worst reality is it's not even being tracked consistently. They'll track a gang database. They'll track how many traffic stops and tickets you'll get, but they won't track how many Black girls, Black women are missing from scrupulous acts. They're not just leaving and going out and not telling anybody. They're disappearing. And we don't know why. So what is our answers? What is our solutions? What should and who should we be holding accountable? I want you all to look at this, and because I put some wording in here that talks about there should be not only accountability, but that there should be some repercussions and retaliations for this type of things that are happening. And so who should we be looking at to hold accountable, to make sure that there are some repercussions and that there are some retaliations for what's happening to our young girls, what's happening to our Black women? I don't know where to start with this, but I know I have to start. So my commitment was, first of all, to create this flyer and to make sure that you knew, and again, I'm going to show you where you can come. It'll be next Friday, February 28th. Next Friday, February 28th, from 6 to 8 p.m. and it's the Windsor Park Church, which is 2619 East 76th Street, basically 76th and Saginaw. If you wanted more information, you can definitely call me at 312-961-6189. I need for you all to come to this event. Us talking to ourselves is not going to solve the problem. We need to be coming up with solutions about who to be asking for this accountability. Who should we say needs to have repercussions, and where should there be retaliations? That's the kind of language we should be using. Not just talking about what their narratives are, which is nice, that's cute, but that's just a story. But a story with no action means no matter. And our black girls, our black women do matter. So I want to spend time with you in dealing with that concept. Because if you don't know about it, you need to be about it. And just like you, I was torn apart to know that it's so many that there's no way to even know what the number is. And we're even talking here in Chicago, but of course nationwide. So Chicago is going to take a stance on this. Again, the National Black Agenda Consortium, which you can learn about when you come to the event, will be taking a stance on this. In this consortium, we have collaborated with the Million Women's March, and that's Empress Chi, who has actually been rolling the ball since last year, if you will, but she's doing it in Philadelphia. She hopefully will be able to make it to Chicago on February 28th. But again, I want you to attend this event. It's free. It is free, but it's not just about free because our women aren't free. We need to be acquiring our freedom. So everything with a F and a R and an E don't mean that it's just free alone. That means that we need to take some responsibility for what this means. And we need to hold somebody accountable for what this is. And again, I'm really big on the repercussions and the retaliation, because I think if you do wrong to mines, it's not that I'm doing wrong, but I am definitely avenging my own. That we'll put it that way. And that was being nice, wasn't it? Now, you could have called in at 312-738-1060. Again, this was our call in live with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, your favorite epidemiologist, Sister Ya. You could have called in our vice president, which would have been Mr. Charles Patton, as you saw his quote that health is not one-dimensional. So this was one of the things that I wanted to put out today. Yes, I am usually far more bubbly and I'm far more excitable, but that last part of us, our young women, children, and I'm going to stop saying young because they're snatching women and it wasn't a matter of the age, because you know, honey, black don't crack. Y'all already know about that, though, right? So you wouldn't know my age at all. I mean, I can go from anything from 20 to plus. And we'll just say plus. No, it's no shame in my game. But the point of it being is women are being taken. Girls are being taken. And we have no way of even knowing where they're going or what's happening to them. More importantly, are they living? So if you come out on February 28th, at least come and honor them. Come and see the story. Come and give them energy to hope that wherever situation they are in, that if they are living, that they are with us, and if they're not living, that they're in the light. Either way, we have to give them their honor and their just due, and that's part of what you should be about. Again, if you're looking for what it is that you should come to, the village is being called on. We're calling out our people to come to Windsor Park Church. February 28th is at 2619 East 76th Street. If you want more information, you could call Dr. Frazier or you call myself, and we will make sure that you have all the information you need to be at this event. It is important that we, just like the Black Panthers did, demonstrate that if when nobody else is for us, we're for ourselves, for us, by us, right? That is what we have to do. When nobody else is listening to our song, we sing even louder. Isn't that right, Mr. Charles Patton? When nobody else cares, we care even more. And it's not about no one else. It's about what we push, what we want to see on the National Black Agenda. That's what we should be discussing. This should be on our agenda as a aspect for us being a year long. From February into December, we should know what our steps have been to take in order to better understand this problem, and more importantly, to come up with what? solutions. That's part of who we are. That is what we do. And Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, will be in the house. One of the things that I would like to offer in my lane, if you will, just like there's 12 parts to the body, there's 12 systems to building a nation, and my lane being more that of the reproduction or the public health lane, I would like to see a database to be created to try to track some of these situations that we know are qualifying for missing. So how one qualifies for missing, there is a few steps that you have to understand before they can do that. But then our black women and girls, once they qualify as being missing for so many days and going through the making sure that it's not just absence because of anything other, but that once they're given that missing, I'm going to call it diagnosis, right, or prescription, they should be cataloged somewhere so we can start seeing how bad is this problem. Well, I hope to see you Friday, and I hope that you have been thoroughly informed about what is going on with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services. Again, this is how you can reach me. I'm also on Facebook, but taxforus@gmail.com. And we want to give thanks to Charles Patton, our Vice President of People's Counselors at 773-988-3411. I hope to see you in the house. Again, my name is Sister Ya. I'm your favorite community epidemiologist, and we will be signing out to next month. Women and Girls Month, by the way. We'll be dealing with this situation. I'll let you know.